Welcome back to Two Nigerian Women. My name is Ibukun.
And my name is Abidemi. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying our podcast as we enjoyed recording it for you as well. Today is interesting because we're going to go home. We're going to talk about dysfunction within the family unit, um, in our upbringing, and also in our adulthood as well.
Yeah.
So, Sissy, dysfunction. Where do we start to unpack this one?
Okay, I think we should first talk about what dysfunctionality means.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on a ramble. I'm doing a lot of this research, and
Mm,
dysfunctional families are characterized by unhealthy dynamics and
mm,
communication patterns among family members. These issues can manifest in different ways. For example, in poor communication, in lack of support, conflict and tension, enabling codependency,
mm,
roles and expectations, neglect and abuse. So that
mm.
is a lot to unpack, really. So I think maybe we should just pick on one. I will talk about poor communication. I just feel
Yeah.
that I think people don't realize what it means to be in a family. I think they just say, "Oh, I'm born in this family, and I just live in it." And then also when it comes to roles, because I'm not going to talk about partnership, I'm going to talk about a family, a husband and a wife.
Okay.
And some husbands do not know the responsibilities that comes with being a family man, even being a
Mm,
husband, being a father. Sometimes by hook or by fluke, they get it, and sometimes they don't. But a lot
mm,
of people are not aware to those responsibilities. Like we grew up in a society that meant that, oh, the man is the provider and that's all. And
mm.
maybe he strikes the cane of discipline. That's about, and he provides. That's it. But there's a lot more that comes with being the head of the house. There's a lot more that comes with being the man of the house. Besides
Okay.
protection, there's emotional support, psychological support, the fact that you have somebody, even physical, mental. There is the things that come with being a father, like the
Mhm.
advice, the fact that your child can come to you and know that once they tell daddy anything, everything is fine. And a lot
Mhm.
of people are not alive to those responsibilities. And
Mm.
sometimes these can also be based on what they have seen growing up. I find myself, like a lot of my mates that I went to secondary school with, being intentional about being fathers, which they
Mm.
never saw from
Mm.
their own
All
fathers
fathers,
because the way the
yes.
society has made them to be, it was
Mhm.
just, oh, I pay the bills, I'm the father, I'm head of the house, and no decision goes beyond. I have to say yes. I have to veto it. If I don't veto it, it won't happen. Like I remember
Mm.
my own house. If my daddy didn't say yes to something, my mom couldn't necessarily say yes. Even if she did say yes, it was overturned. So there was no point asking him because he would say no, and there was no point asking your mom because even if she said yes, it wasn't a change to no, or she'd
Daddy has
refer
said
you
no.
back to daddy. So you have that. So I have a lot of my mates being very intentional about being fathers. So not wanting that dysfunctionality that they grew up with to continue with their in the lives of their children. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I think in terms of communication, because and also a lot of them there was this oh, men are supposed to be strong, you don't
Mm.
express yourself, which is not true,
Mm.
because you got
Mm.
to be vulnerable. We are vulnerable to our Father in heaven. How much more you being vulnerable with your family, being able
Family,
to
yeah.
communicate. There's a lot of people now that are struggling with their mental health because they have been told to cover up and pretend like everything is, even when it's not okay, you can't show your weakness, and that's not
Mm.
ideal. The
Mm.
society, not necessarily here in the UK, in Africa, it is
Mhm.
something that is being reiterated over and over again. Only very few people are actually talking about the mental health of the man of the house. A lot of the time, they don't talk about it. It's almost
Nope.
like you're a man, take it on the chin. You can't cry. You can't show people your weakness. You can't show that you're struggling. Comes across as being weak. No, it's not. If
Mm.
anything, it shows that you're strong because you're willing to let people in and to share your pain because you're not superhuman. And that's the thing. We expect so much from these men, these fathers, these individuals, these
Mm.
brothers of ours, not knowing that there's a lot that they're having to deal with internally, also
Mhm.
externally, because there's a lot that's expected of them. So we have that, and
Okay.
that's just for me. It just comes down to
Mm.
for communication. There's a lot of resentment as well because they are wondering their father didn't do this for them. They have to
Mm.
do it. They have to put up even if they don't feel like. So there's that resentment. Or some of them even growing up and then realizing actually I had no example, so they resent their parents. I have a lot of resentment issues that I'm dealing with when it comes to my mom, because I just feel that a lot of the times she should have been more assertive when it came to this. And she was also taking her life in her own hands, in the sense that what's the worst that will happen? Do you understand? Be more assertive. You were not just born on this earth to give birth to children and just watch them grow and let your life pass you by. That's what you are here for. And whatever it is, whoever you're with is with you because of who you are. And you need to embrace that and continue, not just hide yourself and just allow somebody to make and take decisions for you. It's so uncalled for. And I've had to, a lot of the times I question myself, I'm trying to deal with it. I haven't fully gotten over it, but there's that. But you have those kind of resentments in families. If it's sibling to sibling, if it's parents to children, parents, because even you have some parents being very angry that their children, you have them say things. In my own time, I never had anything. You are lucky. And no, we're not passing struggle inheritance through
Generational,
generations.
generational
Because my
struggle.
parents were poor doesn't mean that
Mm,
you have to pass on that poverty to me. And just because you
mm,
struggle doesn't mean I have to struggle. My children have to struggle. I am breaking that down. I just refuse to carry on board what I don't need to carry on board. If they don't need to go through it, I will not put them through it, because that is not, if you had a choice, I doubt if you allow me go through whatever it is I went through. So why are you telling me I am lucky that I have? It's just a blanket statement, but you have a lot of parents that say that. And we
mm.
cannot be passing all the struggle inheritance to our children. It doesn't make it right. Do you understand?
Oh,
Number one, we didn't choose to be born. God brought us on this earth for a reason, but you
yes.
chose to have us. And now we
Mm,
are here. You're making it seem like I say we're indebted to you. I am not. So don't make it seem like, oh, you have it so easy. Oh, it wasn't like this. Oh, I had it. No, 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 no. I am not taking that. And there are a lot of people that were, and you find that also, even in Nigerian families, there are a lot of fathers that didn't have good examples, even our own father's generation, that were intentional about being parents. Not only,
mm,
I think you have a good example on your own dad's side for you, not
mm,
only what their parents did for them, but they made a choice to be a father, true and true.
mm,
So why
mm,
can't you learn from that person? I know books were not readily available and internet wasn't there, but there are some things you should actually see that
mm.
actually this is not right. This
That,
doesn't seem right. Just because
yeah.
my parents didn't doesn't mean I have to do it. There's some natural common sense. I just refuse to pass on all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dysfunctionality is a whole. You will go down a rabbit hole of all
Mm,
sorts of things, because it's one thing that leads to another, to another, to another, to another. The root cause is a lot of these things that I have mentioned, but it's just a lot. Like I've spoken about the feelings, I've spoken about thoughts, I've spoken about misunderstanding, because they have misunderstanding between families that don't
mm,
necessarily see eye to eye or don't agree. You also have parents that will tell you, actually, you don't allow your children do this kind of thing because that's not how you were brought up.
mm,
The way I was brought up was like 30 odd years ago or 20 odd years ago. We're in a different era, and I'm not making my children my enemy. I'm making them my
mm,
friend,
mm,
because I want them to also be able to come to me and talk to me about stuff. But if I'm already putting walls and making it seem like, no, you can't, no, nah, I'm not having it. So I think I've had my rant when it comes to communication. There's a lot more, but yeah, I'll leave you to talk about your own. There's the lack of support there. You can also
mm.
talk from your own people as well.
Sissy, Bele.
Mm. Thank
You,
you.
it's something that weighs on you in terms of what you've just shared. You're right. Communication is something more often than not lacking within the family dynamic, which could then contribute to the dysfunction of any family unit, whether it's large or small, whether it is just the husband and wife or you have 10 children in a home as well. But yeah, you see, I think if most people are honest with themselves, they do have a certain level of dysfunctionality within their family unit. Um, it's
Mm,
it's not a curse. It's not how best to say it. It's almost a fact of life. It's almost a timeless principle in terms of reaping and sowing. So to your point, in terms
mm,
of um, inheritance, struggle inheritance, if what has been sown generations ago without your knowledge is that struggle, and it just kept passing
mm,
down the generations, You've inherited it by default. Now, your
Yeah.
intentionality point that you raised is so true. If you look around you, like be present in the moment and
Mm.
call black, black, white, white. If you look around you and you realize this is wrong, this is where you have opportunity to change and hopefully break that inheritance, the struggle inheritance
Mm.
from your generation
That's
down to
for
your children's. Hopefully,
mm.
hopefully you're able to do that. But some people don't even know that dysfunctional. Like I said, it's not,
Realize now. No.
yeah, it's not that we're cursing
You have
anybody.
I had a discussion like this on my secondary school page,
Yeah.
WhatsApp group,
Mm,
and we were talking about how a lot of us were abused as we're growing up. Not in that
mm,
it could be any kind of abuse. You
mm,
have
mm,
people that say, I don't know what house you grew up in. I did not. Of course you did. You had teachers that took advantage of the fact that because they were in authority, they lied on you. That is abuse.
mm,
Or you had
mm,
teachers that took their issues from home and brought it to school and took it out on you. That is abuse. So
mm.
we all had one form of abuse, whether we liked it intentional or non-intentional. It might not
Intentional.
even be from the immediate family. It might be from outside. There's also the
Mm.
emotional, the psychological, the physical abuse, the sexual, all sorts of abuse. So you cannot say you avoided it because even though society enabled abuse, you have people
Eh,
that have gone through some sort of abuse, and you have them telling an elderly person will be like, "What were you doing there? What did you
mm,
wear?" A
mm,
baby that wears
mm,
pussy, can we talk about that? Do you understand? So when you look at it, like even the adults not wanting to face up. I had a friend in university actually
mm,
that told their guardian in the university was a pastor,
mm.
told their parents that the pastor was making passes at them. The mother went like, I don't want to hear about it. Almost like the child was lying. You know, when you carry someone on a pedestal and you don't think that
Wait.
that person can fall. It was the whole thing about that pastor in Abuja. I don't want to mention his name. And you
Oh,
had people, in fact, I had a massive go at my mom because she was like, why are people just talking now? I said, when is it okay to talk? You can't beat a child and tell the child when to cry.
mm,
So if somebody feels
mm.
comfortable to talk about what they are going through now, what gives you a right to tell them that they have no right to talk about it? What if it's now that they have the strength to? And I go like, you are a mom, you are a grandma, you are a sister, you are so many things. If anything, you should not be siding with whoever, whatever it is. You should
It's not
actually be on the
about the
side of the
way.
victim.
It's the fact that they finally broke that barrier and are now talking about it.
Mm.
It's so back to
That's
the
it.
point
So what are you
that
shaming? You have people that are shaming them. And I said,
no, we're not
oh, then
doing
she went like, they're attacking Christianity. I said, no, they're not attacking Christianity, they're attacking the individual. Christianity is not an umbrella. Do you understand?
that.
He
No,
needs to own up for his action. We need to stop. We need to allow people to take
you can't.
responsibility for actions. Stop saying that they're attacking the whole body. For what? Are we the same thing? No, no,
Okay.
no, I'm not taking that on board. You messed up, you need to take it and own your shit.
Okay.
So
So, since
anyway, that was
back to the point of,
it.
do you even understand how dysfunctional you are that you are unwilling to acknowledge the dysfunction? That is even almost intensifying the situation. So the only reason we're bringing
Mm,
this up, people listening to us rant and rave, is because we see the hurt dysfunction costs or causes
yep.
in families. And like they say, denial is not just a river in Egypt. You need to
Mm,
acknowledge what the problem is in order to address the root cause and therefore find a
mm,
solution. If you want to maintain your lifestyle as it is, where it appears nothing is making headway, fine. This is not for you. It is for the person who is thinking, why am I like this? Why am I where I am
mm,
right now? Let's try and unpack this. Okay. Dysfunction, like you rightly said, Sissy, comes in so many different forms. So many different forms. It stems from abuse of some form, whether it is mental
mm,
and otherwise. There's a whole list. Yeah. Now, communication was what you started with, Sissy, in terms of people just communicating, in terms of people being
mm,
actually verbal with what a problem could be. For generations, in Nigeria, and yes, we're in diaspora, but we did spend some of our life growing up in Nigeria. You as a child were to be
Mm.
seen, not heard. That
Yeah.
created a whole timeline of things happening that the parents never heard of and will probably never hear of.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
also created the opportunity for you as an individual to imbibe, to absorb certain things about your life that you think are normal. My people, it's not normal to be abused physically, verbally, sexually, mentally. Go down that whole list. It isn't. As a result,
Mm.
there's something in your life right now that you are still struggling with. It is not the best for you, but you do not realize it's as a result of dysfunction. Okay, what do you now do? You need to speak. You need to speak up. So, this pastor in Abuja, what exactly happened? Sissy, do you have a backstory?
So this first started 5 years before the one that really blew up. The one 5 years ago, a young lady accused him of sexual abuse. They had an affair and she was feeling guilty, so she spoke up. People
Hmm.
villainized her because apparently she's a bit of a wild child. They villainized her, they called her all sorts of names, so that kind of
Hmm.
died down. She thank God for the kind of person that she was a fighter. And so
Hmm.
she didn't allow anybody to bully her, but she spoke her truth.
Hmm.
Then 3 years after, some lady, she's a musician's wife, came out and
Hmm.
said the same thing. But this
Hmm.
abuse happened when she was 17 years old. He was counseling her in a laundry. And
Oi.
then when it happened, she reported to her pastor. Her pastor then knew about it, the lady, because the parents, and he would do it in her house. Because and then there was something that has to do with a Fanta lemon. I don't know whether I'm not sure, but he used to give her Fanta lemon. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's a bit fuzzy. And then her husband stood by her, said she didn't do any that this is what it is. They tried to cancel him, they tried to rubbish him in
Hmm.
Nigeria. You know how Nigerians can be very
Yeah.
one, especially when it comes to their touch not my anointed. They tried to abuse and so many things, but there was a trail of evidence that had been kept. This happened in 99 and she spoke up
Hmm.
14 or 15 years after, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
tried to deny, and then there's a pastor that's always laundering his image every time. She's a well-known pastor in Akure, a female pastor. She
Hmm.
always comes to do events here in UK.
Hmm.
And she used to launder his this thing. But this one, the evidence was too much that she kind of took a step back. Like, seriously, this is not the first time.
Hmm.
Apparently, she was the one that didn't beg people, please forgive him. He didn't know what he was doing. But the
Oh,
thing is
yeah.
that when he was abusing this 17-year-old girl, he was in the university and he used to use the fact that he was in a cult to threaten them. There was a
Wait a
whole
minute.
hoo about
It,
it.
it
And it and
all up in the court.
That's story for another day. It doesn't make any sense any longer. Anyway, so it is like this. Not this is the second person saying this about you, and there are a lot more that are not even bold enough. Why are we now making it seem like as if those girls are lying? They're not even
Hmm.
connected. None of them are connected. They're not friends. They're not.
Hmm.
And then there was
Hmm.
a lady that said anonymously that she was an usher in the church. She traveled with him to Lagos, and he didn't book two rooms, he booked one room. And he now went to the shower and came out, exposed himself. And she kind of had a feeling we was going to do that. So she found his driver's license, put it on the pillow, and took a picture of herself with driver's license and evidence that, see, I'm not making it up because it's a different thing. And then when he came out of the bathroom, she stood at the door and said, if you make noise, I'm going to shout, I'm going to tell everybody, and ran out. It's a well known hotel in Nigeria. I ran out, but she said she still has evidence. But that thing traumatized him that all the things that these girls were saying is not a lie. But you had a lot of sheeps defending stupidity because they feel that, number one, I really wish Nigerians or Africans, I don't know what it is, but you need to know that this anointed men of God, and they don't have any special anointing, you also are anointed. It's just because, in fact, they have more responsibility to their flock in terms of they're going to face a lot when they get to heaven because they're responsible for leading and destroying and building lives. There's no
Mm-hmm.
special heaven for pastors. And
Nope.
this thing needs to be reiterated. If anything, there's a lot of unraveling that's happened, especially with elections in Nigeria. There's a lot. A lot of our pastors are complicit in foolishness, stupidity, and bigotry. And it's coming more and more and more and more obvious as the day go by. Don't take any man, so-called men of God, all those NGOs, as anything more than who they are. They are men, first and foremost, and they are bound to fail. No need hero worshiping anybody. No need, I don't even know. It's disgusting. But anyway, I know I went off. There were a lot of people that were defending this guy. He kind of died down, but we all know. They call him Crest. Oh, sorry, he used to give her Crest. So they call him Crest Pastor. He's well known. There are a lot of things that are out there. And a lot of people kind of like, except they want to dwell in foolishness, they get it. And a lot of these big men of God did not even call him to order because he almost feels like the owners of churches are in some kind of cult in Nigeria. That's the way he feels
Let's
a lot of the
let's
times. Yeah, the little man down there, and no matter what you say,
we'll talk
it is.
about
So yeah,
it
that was the whole issue anyway. That's long and short of it. But it
mm,
really, I had no reason not to believe her. It's not because she is a young lady. It's not because she's
mm,
a lady. It was just the fact that
mm,
this is not the first time. Maybe the first one we kind of the girl. She's a bit of a wild child. But this one was
mhm,
a choir member in the church that he walked in before he started his own church in Abuja. The
mm.
the the mat was matting. The
It
loaf of bread
added
was
up.
becoming
Yes,
complete.
it added
Was
up.
it? Yes, it was. The toast was the same color on both sides,
Mm.
so it wasn't anything like it was just too much. The details, even some messages. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, that's
That's
one
what
type
happened.
of abuse. But like I said, a lot of my classmates in school um said they were not abused, and it's a lie because all these things come with the environment that we live in, society that we're brought up in. It actually is almost like a rite of passage. If a person has not lied on you, if a teacher has not just hated your guts just because they wanted to hate your guts, then you have not
Mm,
lived in Nigeria. And
mm.
that's and true enough, I think a lot of us learn to accept it, but there was nothing normal about being abused by our teachers. Even the
No,
words that were said were
honestly,
unnecessary. You don't
so
have to degrade
good.
a child because
See,
you want to, and that's dysfunctionality because somebody has obviously said that to them and they felt it's okay,
okay.
so they carry on. You
See,
have
let
people
me
that'll tell
tell
you,
you.
they did it to me, so there's nothing. Or
No,
you
but
have people that actually
know,
defend
there
abuse
is
online, say
something.
that
Mm,
yeah, you
not,
have people that defend abuse and say, oh,
mm,
I was beaten, so there's nothing. If I wasn't beaten, my life would not have turned out like this. There's a
uh,
thin line between
uh,
this and abuse. I think the lines are very blurred when it comes to
they
Nigerians,
are
and
very
a lot of
blurred.
them are in denial.
They are very
Mm,
blurred. My middle finger on my right hand has a
mm,
sustained injury from when I was about 14, 15 years old because I was
mm,
unfortunately most of the time late to school because we lived about an hour and a half from school with traffic on Third Mainland
mm,
Bridge. I would get to school
mm,
and immediately it is kneel down on the dusty floor and wait for the headmaster to give you strokes of a cane. This man
mm,
smacked my hand, and it had to be a bare hand. He had smacked my hand to the point that the middle finger started to bleed internally. Till today,
mm,
the nerves are still damaged in that middle finger. And that is, well, I live with the physical, if you will, impact of that. Then the one
mm,
though that is even more, if you will, conscious for me in terms of how that made me develop as a person. And I remember because in primary school, you had a teacher that was your teacher throughout primary school, and it was primary four.
okay.
And it was the first time our class was going rather on a school field trip. And I was such a
Mm,
carefree child. I was a happy child. I was on the bus making people laugh. And our teacher was just outside my window saying, Ibukun, what are you doing? Oni Ranu, which means
useless person.
a useless person. Only Ranu is what you are doing. You are a worthless child, pretty much was what she said. I immediately kept quiet and I was subdued for the rest of that year. I remember it so vividly, especially being called Oniranu. And for me, that made me more self conscious in terms of don't make a spectacle is the wrong word. Don't draw attention to yourself, Ibukun. You need to,
mm, mm,
quiet. Everyone sees you as a excellent student. Just put your head down and do your work. And I think that's what developed this
mm,
part of me, where I am almost
mm,
hyper diligent. In that sense, I go the extra mile to the very end because I am above Oniranu, if you will. And in that
mm,
sense, that has fed my personality. Yes, in some places good, but in other places bad. And as a Christian, I do believe in everything works together for my good, and therefore I'm willing to
mm,
accept the good that came out of a bad situation, but I would also call out the bad that came out of that bad situation as well. To our point,
mhm,
for the listeners, dysfunction is actually a consequence. It's not a root. It's a consequence of something
mm.
happening. And we've given
Yeah.
examples of trauma, of abuse, and things like that. But if I could,
Conflict, tension. Yeah.
yeah. But let us talk about the outcome of dysfunction, because I we have a mutual friend, Sissy, and
Mm,
just talking to her every now and again, asking how her parents are doing. Um, and there is something they're not sharing freely with them, but they can see it.
mm, mhm,
And they're like, we need to sort this out. But they are not willing to even have the conversation, because in their mind, they're still children. And these are people in their late 40s, and 50s as well. They're still children, so they're not to be there are certain conversations, even within a family unit, they still cannot have. And it breaks my heart. It
yeah.
so breaks my heart to see her go through this, because you could see almost how it would have evolved through life in terms of where they are right
Yeah.
now. So, in that sense, you need to understand the impact this has long term on your family units. So, what I just want to
Mm,
encourage people is, do not, do not sit in dysfunction.
yep.
Call it
Don't
out.
repeat the circle of dysfunctionality. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not an evil word. Go to therapy. A lot of us need
Yep.
it. We need it right now, not later, right now. There's so many different options
Mm,
you can have. You can have an in person, you can have it online. There isn't like, oh, I have no accessibility to it. There are even those that are, how best to say, low budget, so not high expense for you to be able to do so. And yes, it is all
mm,
about talking. But the point of it is to weed out the dysfunction and then start the healing process. But when you are denying, first of all, that there's dysfunction, when you are closing your eyes, like see no evil, hear no evil, but the evil is all around you,
and yeah. Yeah.
how are you
Yeah.
going to come through it? How? People
I
have
think
begged.
I think individuals have to be willing to seek help and know that there is an issue. So wanting to create an enabling environment for positive growth. A lot of people, because sometimes there's a choice. Okay, this
This.
dysfunction happened. Do I want to continue it? Like we're talking about not passing on struggle inheritance to our children, making up our
Mhm.
mind that we are not going to carry on this dysfunctionality down the line,
Exactly.
and refusing to repeat it.
Mhm.
Then a lot of people as well, because of their exposure to dysfunctionality, they have issues with mental health, which I was talking about when it comes to the male figure and even the female. Because you also, when you look at dysfunctionality, you have women that go through childbirth and they are made to feel
A certain type
because you
of
are
way.
struggling. You have yes, you have post traumatic what do you call it? Sorry, I'm
PTSD,
having
no, postpartum depression.
postnatal depression.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Mm.
yeah, and you have people say, "Hey, just giving birth now. Are you the first one to do it?" Like almost like
Honestly.
negating their
Oh,
feeling. You have people that are rubbish, and this can also lead to mental health breakdown, because you have people that,
mm,
oh, just one of those things, just staying. And I now realized, although that story for another day, but I realized that
mm,
in Nigerian culture, when a woman gives birth, they don't allow her go out for 7 days. The 7 days going out was not because it was because of this postnatal depression, because you go on under the sun, you are weak, you sometimes you are weak, you are still trying to get over the trauma of giving birth. So it's better for you to stay indoors, so you have people to tend
mm-hmm.
to you and you don't need to worry about anything
And
extra.
now,
But it's now
yeah.
turned to a cultural thing or something that was recognized as
Mm,
an issue,
mm,
but just it didn't have a name. And
mm,
then also for some people, they have addiction and self-destructive behaviors. So there are a lot of people
mm,
that, because they've gone through this kind of thing, they don't see any other way out, and they're
mm-hmm,
just out to, they don't see anything good in even the things that they do. There's no joy, there's no, they're going through so much, they just have something
mm,
negative, nothing,
mm,
but they'll say one
mm.
positive thing and 200 negative things. And
Yes,
that
yes.
is also the outcome, functionality. And a lot of
Mm,
them have difficulty in relationships because they
mm,
were not related to properly. They don't know how to relate with people properly.
mm-hmm,
And you
mm-hmm.
find them going through the same motions of just merely existing. After a while, there's a breakdown, and the breakdown, what's the reason? Is this, is that? There's just so many things. And then a lot of people will benefit, like you said, from
Okay.
therapeutic
Mm,
recovery,
mm,
going to see someone, and also making up your mind to embody personal growth and healing.
mm,
So
mm,
making a choice, I want to heal, and I don't want to carry this trauma going forward. And
mm-hmm,
I'm intentional about improving myself, finding fulfillment in everything that I do, or as
mm, mm,
individuals, and also having a strong supportive network. It's very important. You have people to speak to that understand, even if it's in you being quiet and them being supportive in your silence, is good
honestly.
enough reasons. I understand. I am here
Oh,
for you. I am with you, and I just want to stay with you. But a lot of people
mm-hmm,
don't understand. You have people that actually question you, that, are you sure you know what you're saying? Like, if that people, because I know a lot of people will say, oh, I'm praying for you. It's almost like that's what everybody says. But there's some people
yeah.
that actually go out their way to pray for people. And when you say it, a lot of people don't take it serious. And some people come back and ask you that, are you sure? Are you
Mm,
really doing that? Like, I had that this morning. Somebody
mm,
said, are you sure that you are standing with us? I said, of course, why not? I do really know what that means. I said, yes. And the
mm,
person made a demand. They're not made a demand that said share the problem. But that's the thing.
mm.
So support yourself. Is everyone that you tell your story to, unfortunately. Some people
You
are just
shouldn't. Yeah,
bearer of bad news and are just
yeah.
there to wear you down. So it's not everyone you tell your struggle to, it's not everyone you talk to, it's not everyone that you are vulnerable with. I think
Mm-hmm,
you just have to find that strong supportive network. Like I was telling you in church on Sunday, that I
mm,
wish I had, because I went through stuff having the twins and losing one and then
mm,
having my daughter. I wish
mm,
I knew
mm,
you guys when I was having children, because I definitely know that
mm,
the support I'll have gotten would have gone a
mm,
long way in seeing myself as me, embodying that and being a good wife and mom as best as I could. And a lot of
mm,
people tend to take that for granted. And it is not
mm.
something that is easy.
Not. No.
Sometimes also trying to pick that out. Like I have a friend, she has a special needs daughter. And I
Mm,
just one day I went to her house and I was just like, how are you doing? So she's fine. I said, how are you really? I told her, really doing. She started crying. Like
mm,
nobody has ever asked her how she's doing. Everyone
mm.
just, I said, no, but it's important. You are important because you can't give what you don't get, what you don't have to give. You have to
You can't give
build
from
up.
an
So
empty
how
cup.
are you doing?
Mm,
Yeah, you
mm.
can't pour from an empty. It's
Oh,
true, empty
yeah.
cup. So it was the fact that I was able to ask her, and she broke down. And the husband, because obviously we're not the same, she is Caucasian. And the husband felt very, very, very embarrassed, to say the least. It's almost like he felt bad that he
Mm,
wasn't there for her. And you're not, no.
mm,
There are
mm.
lots of things that friends would give that you as a
Oh,
husband
man.
will not
Not,
give.
you are
So
not.
you need to, it doesn't mean that you're not trying.
It's only God
But you
that is omnipotent, as in all powerful. You, as an
when
individual,
you
can
have a
only
situation that they don't know God, where are you going to come from? Where will you
make.
come
No,
from?
that's another
So
situation
they
when you don't even
don't
have
know
God.
God. So
Wahala.
how will you explain it to that person that I
Mm,
genuinely care about you? Do you
mm.
understand? So
I do, I
you,
do.
I don't. It is hard. It is
Mm,
hard. But I think a strong support, in closing, a strong support system is very vital. We all
Yeah.
need it in every area of our lives. Even when it
Mhm.
just comes with the little things, having someone to share a coffee with. Like I find myself a lot of times I enjoy my own me time, me just
Mm,
being alone, doing my own thing, not having anyone around me. And I never
mm,
used to be like that. When it's time to be out there and have fun, of course I'll take it. But when it's time for me
mm,
to retreat and stay indoors, I'd rather retreat than stay indoors.
mm,
Lockdown
mm,
was a very
mm,
good time for me because I was going for vacation in my bathroom, in my
mhm.
bedroom, in my
Yes.
kitchen. I did not need to be anywhere else. I
Anyway.
loved it.
Mm,
It
mm,
was the best thing since sliced bread for me. But
mm,
we need support. We need quality support, not just people are using mouth, paying lip service.
mhm.
Quality support
Of
that is
course.
unquantifiable. It's
I
very, very important. And we
with you
cannot
on
help
that.
but reiterate
Mhm.
over and over again. Besides you
Support.
finding joy in the things that you love and finding fulfillment in the things that you do, it's also
Mm,
having people that understand your struggle and willing to hold your hand and walk with you. And even
mm,
when they don't like what is going on, they can correct you in love while still
mm,
walking with you and understanding that process that you're going
mm,
through. It is
mm,
very, very important. And I think we tend to take it for granted, especially coming from in Nigeria, where you're
mm,
told, "Oh, don't have a lot of friends, or friends you
mm,
are friend, or too much. Always have family around you." You are here in a country that is not where you can go to next door neighbor and have a chat. It's not like that. You can have someone
nope.
just walk off the street or your cousin. They
Nope.
they they are already at your gate before they call you that
Exactly.
somebody's looking for you. It's not like that
Mm.
here.
It
So
doesn't work
it's
like
also
that.
finding that quality system. You have a lot of people that fall through the cracks because they do not have that support. And it's
Mm,
very important. We have to keep saying it because mental health, it is a thing that
mhm.
unfortunately has come to stay. And a lot of
It,
people don't know that they are going through a mental health crisis. They
well,
just feel that life is fine.
it's also been bastardized as well, where everything is, oh yes, it's a crisis, it's a problem. But I hear you,
Yeah,
Sissy,
excuse.
and in conclusion, I think we can summarize. First of all, acknowledge the dysfunction in
Yeah.
your life, and acknowledge, especially if it has come through family. There are other
Mm.
external sources, of course, that dysfunction can come in through, which we've mentioned in the episode. But once you're able to acknowledge it, that's the very first step. The second step
Yep.
is support. Support. I am Sissy's support system. She is mine. We have a wider group of friends where our support systems, if you will. We
Mm.
always encourage each other, uplift each other, challenge each other as well, and learn from each
Mm.
other too. So please address the dysfunction in your life. And we do hope this conversation would open up other conversations in your home,
Yes.
your primary home, and also with your parents as well. It will be hard, we know, but address it whilst you can. Thank you so much
Mm.
for listening to us. It's been, like I
Thank
said,
you.
our pleasure to record this for you. We hope you're enjoying it. Please subscribe on any of the platforms you're listening on or watching us on.
Mhm.
Comment, send us questions. Our links are in the description box. We look forward to recording another episode. And thank you. Say bye, Sissy.
Bye. See you next week. Hope by the grace of God. Bye. It was lovely chatting with you all. And please send us your question, like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any topic you'd like us to talk about within reason, we are happy to talk about it. Having said that, I'll just throw this in. We need to talk
Mhm.
about those evil teachers in secondary and primary
Oh,
school because it was an abuse that went on under our parents' noses and they were enabled. Let's
with
call them out.
permission
I don't
in some
care. We
cases.
need to start. We
Yes.
need to start. We need to be in those cases. It's not okay. It's not cool. And you're not going to pass on that silliness to the
Exactly.
generation of youngins and then hurt them and scar them for life. We are not having that. We are called to be gatekeepers and we are taking
Mm,
that role as our mission, and we're not joking
mhm.
with it. So yes, we're calling out teachers. We need
We
to call
will
them
be.
out. People in
We will
authority,
be.
we need to call them out. They need to know that these things are not okay. Just because you
Mm,
got on with it, got away with it, it's not okay. We need to
it's
say it,
not.
and we need to keep saying
And we
it.
will. And we will. We're promising that episode and we will address it and with as much compassion as is required as well as direct.
Mhm.
So thank you so
Yes.
much to our listeners. Please subscribe,
Thank you.
comment, like, put on the notifications. Take care. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.